It's your girl Jennifer Denny, aka the Black Honey Badger. The name of this post is Snow White, Cinderella, and Sleeping Beauty. If you're an Xer, you remember. This post was written and dedicated to Maurice Stallard and Vicki Lee Jones. If you have forgotten those names, I haven't. These are two ADOS people who were killed in a Louisville, Kentucky Kroger's by Gregory Bush. I promised then that I would never forget. But this post is dear to me not just because of those deaths, but also this is where I shared the most of myself. I told a lot of things about me in this post. Here we go. Snow White, Cinderella, and Sleeping Beauty. If you're an Xer, you remember. When I was a little girl, and in actuality all through my life, books were my world. They were my way of escaping the harsh realities of living with a grandmother who really didn't want me around. So books were my entree to worlds I knew I would never get to see. My favorites were the stories that I knew in no way could be real. Fantasies where the damsel in distress, in a beautiful jewel-toned floor-length gown, of course, dragons of all kinds to slay, and eventually good triumphs and hope abounds. In that genre, the ones I loved the best were fairy tales. Tales like Cinderella, Snow White, and Seven Dwarfs, Sleeping Beauty, and Rapunzel. As I got older and Disney began making movies about these fairy tales, it was like the world that I saw in these books. And of course, the pictures I drew in my mind from these, where I was the main character, came alive for me. Tales like The Little Mermaid, Red Riding Hood, The Swan Princess, and others really brought to mind that little brown-eyed girl standing in a mirror with a yellow bath towel on her head, wishing upon the stars that I could have long blonde straight hair with curls on the ends and blue eyes. Yes, I wanted to be Cinderella, Snow White, Rapunzel, especially Rapunzel. I wanted to be anywhere than where I was. I wanted to be anyone that didn't look like me. I wanted to be white or as close to it as I could get. I thought that if I could somehow look different, be in a different place, I could have a different life. What I didn't realize then, but know now, is that that's the narrative that was being pushed on me, was that white was right and beautiful and pure as driven snow, and black wasn't. There is a poem that illustrates this thought better than I can. If you're black, stay back. If you're brown, stick around. If you're yellow, you're mellow. If you're white, you're all right. This is the narrative that was pushed on us for longer than I have been alive. It has impacted me more than I can say. All I wanted was to either look like Sade or Vanessa Williams. Those were my choices. I just wanted to be special to someone. I figured if I looked like them, I would be noticed, I would be loved. Throughout my early childhood living in Brooklyn, going to school, the children thought I was ugly. It shaped my entire life. I believed them. There really weren't a lot of women on TV, except of course for Isabel Sanford and Esther Rolle, who looked like me. When I became aware of who I was and that I was different, all I wanted was to be like the women I saw on TV. I wanted to be Erica Kane. I thought back then, looking in the mirror with that yellow towel on my head, if I could find a way to change my appearance, I would, in a heartbeat. I just wanted to be accepted. Throughout my childhood, for example, whenever I was given the gift of dolls, Barbies, but mostly porcelain, later on, they would be white with blonde hair, blue eyes, and the perfect figure. When I would look at television, I would see white women with perfect hair, sparkling eyes, and even more sparkling attire. They were telling me that this is what you should strive for, but can never have. You will never be accepted because you are not this. As I was writing this and recalling some of those moments, I became emotional. I realized that if the world were just, I wouldn't have wasted so much time hoping for something different. I would have basked in what I was. I had to lay my insecurities bare for me to analyze. And I realized that in this woke state that I'm in now, I spent so much of my childhood and even adult years trying to make myself fit into what I wanted as a child. I have worn green contacts, wore wigs and weaves, although mostly braids to cover what I thought was a liability. I even dyed my hair blonde. Now that I love the skin I'm in, I love all of it. My hair texture, my body shape, although I do wish my stomach was a little smaller. Now when I wear a wig and get my hair braided, it's for protective measures, to give my hair a break from manipulation because I like the way it looks. I wear them with a different attitude, like, yeah, I'm wearing this, but trust and believe my hair is just as beautiful without it. There was a video posted by my favorite YouTuber called If There Was a Pill We Could Take. He states in this video, if Big Pharma made a pill that would change our phenotype from black to Caucasian, there would be lines around the pharmacy with us trying to get it. I need you to understand my hesitance to write this piece. In order for me to look back at that little brown-eyed girl, I had to look deep into myself. I had to look into places that can't be covered with makeup, that can't be disguised by green contacts, and that can't be covered with a wig. I had to look into myself and ask, why is this topic so uncomfortable for you? I hadn't fully explored it yet then, but what I will tell you is that the reason that it was so uncomfortable for me is that I had to look at myself at that age. I had to realize the things that I faced back then, those feelings of inadequacy, haven't really gone away. I had to look at that little girl in the schoolyard who saw a pretty light-skinned girl get all the attention of the boys. I had to deal with the fact that every boy who saw me thought I was ugly, that I wasn't worth the time getting to know. And also, I had to realize that as I grew up, I placed this shell over me. I placed it over me to protect me from the deriding of my peers. I had to act as though I didn't care that they didn't like me, didn't think I was nice, sweet, or funny. Whenever I walked into a new situation, I had to make sure to put this shell on so I didn't get hurt. I had to act as if I really didn't mind being by myself in a school full of people. I had to realize that I was the weird one in all of my environments. It brought to mind all the jealousies that I had as a child of the people who were really close to me. What I was jealous of was their confidence, their ability to walk through life as if they owned it. I felt inadequate and I covered it up with indifference, with comedy and most times attitude. I think the reason this has been uncomfortable to me was that I was always the outsider. Even if I'm in a clique or created the clique, I always felt like there was some secret to life that I just had no clue to, as if it was well known to everybody else but me. But I realized that the inadequacy I felt, we as Black folks have always felt, that I wasn't the exception but the rule. We wanted to be accepted because we feel that invisible line of difference between black and white. We wanted it eradicated because we are no different. If I had the opportunity, I would pick up that little brown-eyed girl, hug and kiss the crap out of her. I would rip that stupid towel off her head and tell her that every inch of her is beautiful, from the top of her head to the soles of her feet. I would tell her that no matter what she does, who she is, how she wears her own hair, I would tell her that she is enough. That she already had all she needed to navigate this life and be successful in her own right, whatever she chooses. And that her past does not dictate her future. It is inevitably our past that tends to haunt us and keep us from stepping into who we are. Past wrongs and hurt will randomly pop into your head. Because of some of the things I experienced, these occurrences will tend to cripple me if I let them. It also tends to keep us from breaking those survival habits that we developed when trauma came our way. Those habits come from trying to survive a hellish situation. But once you're out of it, those habits are no longer productive and can keep you from engaging in healthy relationships, can slow your mental maturity, and can even keep people you want around you away from you. As you can see, I am seeking some behavioral health services. While I know that therapy is looked down on in the Black collective, it is absolutely vital that we begin to treat some of the trauma, not just from our own lives, but also what has happened to us in living under this system. It has been damaging. to have to see movies that have slavery and see how we were just two-legged horses to them, to see audio and visual proof of how the collective has and is being treated and how we had to fight and are still fighting for basic human rights. Rights that were highlighted in the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, rights that were given to every human, but just not for us. It is traumatic how even in their political building of this country, we only counted as 3/5 of a person, and how at every turn, while the right hand seemed to have been giving us something, the left hand was still taking anything that they could get. There was a time in our lives when we were all similar to Treasure from the Dr. Phil show. We all wanted to find ways to fit in. That's why we as black women wear weave and wigs to dye our hair for fairer colors. I'm not saying it's not a choice that you consciously make for style. I'm saying that subconsciously you wanted to be noticed as something different and be accepted. I say this all the time and highlighted it in one of my earlier posts. White acceptance is a soothing elixir and worse than any drug you can partake in. Because once you get even a small measure of it, you will sell your very soul to get more. You will do anything, say anything, even betray your own kind just so they don't write you off as a super predator or break your neck in a paddy wagon or steal your life in a Kroger's. We are so preoccupied with making them comfortable with us so that they don't send us their very worst to take our lives. We are very occupied with being accepted by them. We want that pat on the head from them, and we want them to tell us how different we are, how smart, how beautiful. We want them to see us as humans. I'm here to wake you up. I'm here to tell you they cannot and will not see you as that. It doesn't benefit them to do so. And benefit, my brothers and sisters, is the name of the game with them. They set up the system just so they don't have to see your essential humanity. They set it up to steal, kill, and destroy. And that is exactly what they are doing, and nothing that you can do can steer them differently. No education, no compromise, and damn sure no forgiving. I need you to wake up, people. Stop hoping for a change from them and hoping you won't have to fight. Hope is a poison. It will kill you faster than cancer. The only way our fight for justice will work is if we realize a few important things. 1, we have to fight for what we deserve. 2, we will not see the end of whiteism in our lifetime. We don't really deserve to see that. 3, unless we make them give us our due, we will never get it. I need you to make peace with these 3 things. And then I need you to pick up your tool of choice and fight for what is yours. Only by us fighting for what is right can we begin to make ourselves whole. But it comes at a price. And that price may very well be your life. As I said, make your peace with that. Once you realize you can die any day, you will do your best to live this life and you will want to make your death count for something. I know the prospect of dying is a hard thing to think about because we don't know what comes after. But we live so that we can make this world better for our children and the generations to come. Do we really want to leave them with the baggage that our ancestors left us with? Or do we want to strive to make this place better for them? Remember the moment you realized that you were different? How about we let the next generation come into this life and never have to realize the negative effects of being a different skin color? That the injustices of pale people be something they read about in history books because it is actual history. How about when they are born, they breathe truly free air and can be what they want to be? Well, none of that can happen unless we fight for them. We are not fighting just for ourselves. We are fighting for babies like Jeremiah Harvey so that he can grow up and not become the marginalized black man needing protection, but a strong, confident black man ready to embrace his life and make it what he wants it to be. Thank y'all so much for listening. And as always, to my black honey badgers, keep your claws sharp, your hearts pure, and your minds clear.